Today is a day many of you have asked for. Today we'll find out whether the Retro Mini will make it onto the shelf of amazing and unusual handhelds, or will it drop into the shoebox of embarrassment? Find out now.
Retro Rock plays everything.
Hey ladies and germs, and it is time for an unboxing and review of the Retro Mini, which I have been told is the best freaking thing ever by people in the comments. So, review it, they said, and review it I shall. For a minute there, I thought this was a BitBoy ripoff. It is not. It does not use the same mold as the BitBoy. I did pop it open real quick to just take a look at the form because it was going to make me crack, honestly. I was quivering with anticipation. So anyway, no, it is not a BitBoy derivative. It is something all of its own. Looking at the box, we've got Retro Mini on the front, nothing on the bottom. The box is actually pretty decent. If you are a boxophile, it will hold up to time. It's a nice little storage thing. And, you know, when you go to sell it, or if you ever do sell it, it will provide amazing value. Included is the console, USB cable, and user manual. Arrow keys, TF card slot, that's true. Select start, earphone, USB port. I do not think this has video out. Power, game keys, and volume up and down. Note that select and start will bring you back to the main menu from a game and also allow you to archive the game or save it. So I think this has the same interface as some of the fake PSP clones, I'm gonna guess. Let's read. Support play GBA games. That's a good start. Barrier-free connection between lattice of LCD screen and game running system. I have no idea what that is supposed to mean. Anybody want to enlighten me? Retro game console, that's pretty obvious. Restore HD original system. Okay. Operation interface up to 26 languages. Apparently, English is not one of them. Neat box, though, nonetheless. Let's give them an E for effort on the design of the box, even if the English is not the best. And the good news is, they are way better at English than I am at Chinese, so win for them. Alright, taking it out of the plastic. I'm going to set it aside for a second, just take a look at anything else that comes in the package. We've got a nice little manual here. It's a very attractive manual as far as they go. No. The actual manual itself appears to have fairly decent language. I know you can't, or English, I know you can't actually read it because it's tiny. I mean, really tiny. To turn on the console, turn the left side of the power button, power switch button, up until the main menu appears on the display. Yes, this is absolutely halfway decent English on here. Huh. Not bad. So, give them some points there for that. Next comes with the charging cable. Finally, the device itself. Nice smoke color. You can get it in several different colors. Note that I paid about, I don't know, between $40 and $60 for this. You can basically have a pretty wide range of prices. And after a rather suspicious jump cut, I'm back. Now let's take a look here. It's got some decent weight to it. I mean, it does not feel light and cheap like so many of these do. I really like the finish. You can see it's kind of got this dull finish, but it's transparent. They make a fully transparent model, by the way. They come in several different colors, if I didn't mention that earlier. It does not feel cheap at all. Look at the way the edges sit. The fit and finish on this is really quite good. I mean, decent quality control standards throughout. Yeah, nice plastics. These are not rubber. These are actually plastic. I kind of prefer rubber for these, but they feel pretty good. Yeah, this feels pretty decent. Just enough sponge on it, not too much sponge. I'm a little bit worried about the D-pad, but we'll see how it actually plays. Start and select are the same way, no rubberization there. These are very clicky. The right and left buttons, not bad. In fact, really quite nice. I mean, it does feel like decent quality stuff. And there we go, the battery hatch. This is a rechargeable battery, by the way. On-off button, it's clearly marked here on the back. Volume control. USB charge jack, headphone jack. My understanding is it does not have video out. SD port. And that is pretty much it. Real quick, size comparison. Here's the Bitt Boy. It's a little bit bigger than the Bitt Boy. As you can see, they definitely are not the same mold. And here is the Gameboy Color. And as you can see here, definitely quite a bit smaller than that. So it's riding in between them. Alright, enough of that. Quick note, mine came with an 8 gig SD card installed. So not bad. Had some junk on it too. I'm going to add some more junk to it. See how it plays. Okay, so here we are on the main menu, and you have game, music, video, picture, ebook, file manager, and system settings. We're going to go way back to the beginning. We're going to skip games for now. We'll do that later. Here's the music player. It's quite nice, really. I'm going to go into all music. You can play music that you added to your SD card, which I did in this case. Give it a second here. Takes a little bit to pick it all up. And we'll play the G2B podcast theme. Really quite nice. And the device is small enough that you could actually use it for an MP3 player if you wanted to. So if you're going to go jogging or something and want an MP3 player and a hitch, it would actually work as that. And it's pretty decent. I actually do keep a couple albums on it now so that I can use it as one. So that's pretty cool. Next we're going to take a look at video. Yeah, let's do some, it's playing, and of course same thing, you can go on the disc or the SD card. I find that it has a very limited range of what it can play. It seems to be mostly limited to the MPEG range. In fact, I'll bet it'll crash, see? Yep, it'll crash on that one. And it will play AVIs too, but again, the codec set, and I'm not going to play too much of that, but you can see it's pretty clear. Here, wait a minute. Actually, if I turn the sound down, here, let me at least show you the video off of this. Shouldn't get too much. See? The video is actually really quite clear. It looks nice. It's not bad at all. I don't know if I'd ever actually use this to watch videos, but hey, it can do it. But do note, though I don't know all the actual codecs it plays, if I get that information, I'll post it on the screen. It does appear to be very limited because some very standard things that I play on other devices don't play here. And of course there's pictures, and here is there, one of my haul videos. Not bad. I mean, I don't know why you'd ever use it for this. Ebook reader is very limited. Again, you can load them on the SD card, but it only reads text. I tried PDF on here and it didn't work. I also tried a couple other standard formats and it doesn't pick them up. Also, I don't know why you'd want to read on this small of a screen. So, you know, unless you want to cheat on an exam or something, it's probably not the best. Here's the file manager. This works pretty well. I'm going to show you, let's see. No, there's nothing in there. Okay, let's actually erase that video. That doesn't work anyway on here. So if I click on this and then click again, I'm sorry, that would be the A button and A button again, I can open, copy, delete, or move it. So I'm going to just delete it. There you go. It's gone. I mean, it's not like, you know, anything amazing, but it's nice to have a usable manager, especially if you put things in the wrong location. And I'm going to talk about locations in a minute, because it does matter. Finally, we've got system settings. And you can change the desktop color, which I am going to now. There we go. Looks much better in black. You can set the brightness, how long the backlight stays on before going off. That's a really nice save function. As far as battery life, it is really great. Has multiple languages. Also nice. The sound is the sound it makes in menus. And since I don't really have it, here, wait. Here you go. There we go. Now you get it. Not a whole lot of choices, but pretty cool. And then you can do system recovery if you mess something up. So pretty nice, right? Okay, before we start on the games, I need to tell you about how to use the SD card. It needs to be formatted as such. You will need a folder called Game, one called Ebook, one called Music, one called Picture, and one called Video. Now, a couple notes here. They're all in caps, and that's important because this is a Linux-based operating system and cares about caps. The other thing, if you're ever going to use it for ebooks, which I can't guess why you would, the manual is wrong about how you should label that. It is ebook, not e-book. It will not pick up anything in e-book. Also note, if you don't put games in the game folder, all of them in the root of the game folder, you won't be able to see them within the system. So that's kind of a negative. Anyway, let's go back to the main menu and I'll show you some games and how well they work. Games. Okay, there are built-in games, about 38 of them. They are all GBA games. As far as how well this runs, GBA games in general, either the ones that are here on the system or ones that you load on yourself, it's kind of a mixed bag. It ran a lot of them really quite well. It doesn't seem to be running 100% full speed, but close enough that it's enjoyable. However, some games like Duke Nukem Advance totally just ran way too slow. I also found that Doom on the GBA ran amazingly slow, so you might want to know that if you're interested in running those games. They're just not going to run very well. That said, the standard 2D fare, the majority of the games, runs okay, well enough. And the controls work really quite well for them. Alright, let's just go. Yes. As you can see, you know, pretty darn good. Other than my gameplay. It's hard to play through a camera. There we go. Oh, cripes. Mistakes were made. Oh, double mistakes were made. There we go. Hard to reach back button from here. Bummer. Alright, so there's a little bit of Game Boy Advance. By the way, I can hit both the start and select button and I'll come to this. And yes, indeed, I can save. See, I can save the state of it. I can also delete save states. So not bad at all. And then I can quit from here and go back to the main menu. And let's see, I don't want to do anything. Here, MegaMan, that doesn't have a huge intro. Again, I think that this Game Boy Advance emulator is okay for everyday use. Unless it's a game you want that it doesn't run very well. Come on. Really, Rob? I think I gotta slide, and it's not gonna happen the way I've got this controller. So I'm just gonna kind of jump through. Yeah. Oh, missed jump. But as you can see, it runs pretty darn well. I mean, not terrible at all. A hitch here and there, but not bad. Now, little note: this particular one came with an 8 gig SD card with it, and that card was also packed full of games. However, they were formatted like this. In other words, there were numbers in front of them, which meant they weren't in alphabetical order, and I found it annoying as living heck. So what I did is I stripped the numbers off them. However, for this demo, I wanted to have some NES stuff and some other games to run. So what I've done is I just filled it with those. And so all I've got as far as Game Boy Advance games is the stuff that was built onto the system right now. But you can put whatever. Just remember that it's flat. So when you save games, there's no like subdirectory, so you can't just browse through your NES games or browse through your Game Boy Advance games. You've got to you got to go through the whole thing, which is kind of sad. Oh, jeez, come on. Bunch of talking, and there we go. But as you see, I mean, it runs pretty darn well. Not bad. Alright, let's go back and look at some other types of games. So, as far as what kind of games this runs, what it really, really runs is NES games and Game Boy Advance games. Now, it does say on the cover that it runs Game Boy Color and Game Boy games, and that's true, but they have to be formatted for it. Basically, they have to be converted to Game Boy format for them to work. And you use a program called GOOMBA to do that. And if you're interested in how to do that and you want to do that, I actually have a video on it, and I'll link it down below on how to convert them over to GOOMBA so you can play it. So if you look right here, I've got Game Boy ROMs and Game Boy Color ROMs, and they're just basically a Game Boy Advance cart with a menu on them. See? Pretty neat menu system. Yep, keep going. Come on. I think they look pretty good. I mean, Game Boy games look pretty decent on here. The format seems to work pretty well for them. As you can see, there's a little bit of space around the edges, but there's no distortion. It looks really good. And for the most part, I found the games ran. I mean, it's pretty easy to emulate this, but it's nice to see that they do run okay, even through that Game Boy Advance cart system. Playing terrible here. Woohoo! Alright, let's quit the game. Okay, some notes on Game Boy Color. Make sure that you use GOOMBA Alpha version 6 to do your ROM compiling for this. Any other version that I have tested, I've tested 2 or 3, will result in severe lagginess and massive incompatibility. So just make sure you use this one with 6 and you should be okay. It's not 100% perfect no matter what. I found that a number of ROMs did not work with this. It could be my ROMs too, you never really know. But if you really want it to not work, use another version. And here we go. So here's Rainbow Islands. As you can see, it's just a little bit slow. It's not awful here, but it's definitely not quite right. See, and you start getting some lag. It's more severe depending on the version of the compiler you use. So, you know, just watch that. I don't know why this game particularly would have a problem, but this is a good example of the kind of problems that you can have. Here we go. Alright, let's go play something that fares a little bit better. Let's try Yar's Revenge here real quick. I'm going to have a hard time playing through the screen here, so a little bit of apologies for that. I'm not the greatest at this particular version of it anyway. I can do the Atari version pretty good, but this scrolling off the screen thing that this version does just, I don't know, it drives me crazy. Come on! Come on, come on. Oh. Alright. I gotta get this bomb past me. And it's gone. Alright. Oh! Too late. See, but this runs at full speed. And there's no problems. Even though I'm sucking at it. Oh, come on. Hurry up. There we go. Time to get in there. Come on, where's the bomb? Ah. Oh. Game over. Aw. Wario Land. And this works pretty well. No real problems with it, other than the ridiculously long beginning of the game. This is ridiculous. But, as you can see, it runs pretty well. Again, I'm just kind of running through it because I can't really see it that well. Hear that slowdown though? Real typical of this emulation though. Come on. Ugh. Ugh, come on. It's ridiculous. Ooh. Get out of here, dude. Ugh. Rampage. Another one that runs pretty well. I gotta say, it's really hard to punch them. There we go. Tasty. Music's horrendous though. But you do get to eat people, which is fun. Got him. Come on, out. So basically the verdict here on Game Boy Color is, nah, it runs some, it doesn't run some it runs slowly. It's kind of a very mixed bag with this. It runs Game Boy Advanced a lot better than it runs Game Boy Color. Now, of course, it is emulating a Game Boy Advanced, emulating a Game Boy Color. So there is that to look at when you're looking into this, but definitely not the best of its capabilities, even though this game isn't too bad. The NES is the final thing that this emulates, and it does that pretty well. The appearance isn't really the best. Here, let's do Bubble Bobble, because I like it. Every video I do Bubble Bobble. Sorry. And the slowdowns are native to the game, so that's just life with a Nintendo. But as you can see, it runs it pretty well, but it's a little bit distorted. I mean, it's not perfect, but I haven't actually found a game that doesn't run on it and run at a decent speed. And honestly, I kind of prefer playing on this to even the Bitt Boy, just because the controls are so good. So even though it doesn't have as great of a screen as the Bitt Boy, I actually like playing NES games on here a little bit better, just because of, again, a really good job on the controls. And it looks okay. I mean, it's not perfect, mind you, but it's pretty decent. Alright, let's go back, try another game. I don't want to do anything too huge, but bum 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 bum. I think I bought this game like right after high school when like everything was out of clearance. Or everything was on clearance for the Nintendo, and it was, yeah. Yeah. It's a roguelike! Ugh. Yeah, it's hard. But as you can see, it runs just fine. Ugh, playing horrible. Just walk around a little bit. Do 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 do. Again, really, controls very well, and the game plays well. It, again, does not look 100% perfect, but there's no actual problems with it. You can see it especially like, wait, let's return to the game. Oop, no. Return to the game. See that game over screen? You can definitely see like some of the problems with it on that game over screen. Okay. And then let's do... I think I did Kid Icarus last time. We can do Mappy Land here. Oops. Doing terrible. Again, kind of hard to see through the camera. Oh, there, got it. Oh, ran right into him. But as you can see, everything seems to run pretty well on there. All right, let's get the verdict on this thing, shall we? So, what is the verdict on the Retro Mini? Well, it is a device that's greater than the sum of its parts and capabilities. It has really decent construction quality. The plastics are really nice. It has a decent heft. It's not like heavy, but it does have an OEM quality feel about it in its weight and in its construction. The controls are nothing short of great. They are a perfect match for Nintendo brand controllers. I mean, it is just right up there with them. Super responsive, works great. The screen, nice and bright. It's not quite as good as a BitBoy screen, but the BitBoy screen is pretty exceptional. However, it is nice. It's bright, it's colorful, and it looks good. I'm smacking the heck out of it. I love the fact they included an SD card reader in it so that I could add new games. It's a great idea. The sound quality is pretty decent on it. It's clear. I mean, you know, it's not going to win any sound awards, but it is clear and it does get loud enough so you can hear it decently. They did include a headphone jack if you want to listen to it with headphones. Note that there is no video out, which I think is a missed opportunity on a device like this, but I guess you got to cut some corners somewhere when you're making this device as inexpensively as this one is. What else do I have to say about it? Well, as far as the Game Boy Advanced emulation, it's pretty good. It's good when it's good, and it's not when it's not. I'd give it about a 75%, you know, like a C plus maybe. You know, there's some great games that you're not going to be able to play on it, but a lot of the best games you can play on it. It does feel great when it's playing well, though, so that's good. Remember that though it mentions Game Boy Color and Game Boy compatibility, not really. It actually uses an emulator on the Game Boy Advance, which explains why it has such problems emulating both of those. Actually, I shouldn't say that. Game Boy, it emulated really well. Game Boy Color, however, is completely hit and miss. I definitely wouldn't buy this as like a primary Game Boy device, or Game Boy Color device. It's probably not going to cut the mustard for that. It does run some games really well, but other games it just doesn't, and it seems to be a crapshoot on what it runs well and what it doesn't. NES. This is my favorite thing to play NES on, short of actually using a Nintendo game system. It really is quite good. Yeah, the graphics are a little bit off on it due to the screen ratio, but it really does a great job of playing them. It seems to be very compatible. I tested about 20 games on it, and they all ran, pretty darn well. So really good device for playing like NES games on and Game Boy Advance games on if you're not too picky about what you're playing. Really good device. I got to give it a definite thumbs up for the price. It's less expensive than a BitBoy in most cases. I mean, this is a sub $40 device. You can get it with the SD card, sometimes from a little bit less than 40 or just a little bit more than 40. You can get it with an actual 8 gig SD card. The one that came with mine is Kingston, or at least is labeled that way. You never know. But really great device, and I'm going to give it a thumbs up. I actually use this as, in fact, it's the first time I've ever used one of these as an MP3 player, like when I'm jogging or when I'm at the gym. So, because it's small enough to fit in, and it actually plays MP3s in a reasonable fashion, and plays games in a reasonable fashion. So, really good device for the price. Again, I think I said it 3 times. It gets a thumbs up. If you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, give me a thumbs up and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in a couple days with yet another weird device, I'm pretty sure. Bye.
gaming videos.